On the night of September 30th, 2025, Kharkiv, just 20 miles from the Russian border, lay under a tense quiet. Generators hummed, traffic murmured, and families waited in shelters, unaware of the storm approaching. Russian bombs, missiles, and Shahed drones were closing in on the city, with Barabashovo Market, the bustling heart of commerce, directly in the crosshairs. As the first explosions tore through the night, firefighters and rescuers would become the city's front line, running toward flames while the rest of Kharkiv held its breath. The countdown had begun. Air raid sirens tore through Kharkiv at 11:59 p.m., blaring over streets usually quiet at this hour. Basements and metro stations filled with residents who had practiced this dance countless times since 2022. Meanwhile, radar screens inside Ukrainian command centers flickered like Christmas trees on steroids. Patriot and NASAMS batteries tracked the invisible ballet above, each system screaming readiness. Operators toggled between radar feeds and electronic warfare displays, measuring intercept windows down to single-digit seconds. Every ping could be a 500-kilogram KAB bomb or a low-flying Shahed 136 drone. Jihad drones, the Iranian-supplied kamikazes, had a subtle, cruel humor in their design. Cheap, slow, and tiny, yet nearly invisible to conventional radars. They loitered above fields and forests like oversized mosquitoes, waiting for air defenses to blink. Guided aerial bombs, KABs, carried from Su-34 or Su-35 bombers, glided silently, almost smugly, over the horizon. Their 250 to 500-kilogram warheads were precision tools designed to split steel and scatter lives. Ballistic missiles, likely Iskander-Ms, sliced through the upper atmosphere at Mach 5 to Mach 7, warheads glowing hot, impervious to panic. The operators had a game of numbers in their heads. Which missile would land first? Which drone would slip past radar coverage? Intercept? Divert? Destroy? Or risk letting one slip through? And they had mere seconds to decide. The city held its breath. Street lights blinked under the tension. Smoke from distant fires mingled with fog rolling off the outskirts, and Kharkiv waited for the first scream of steel from the skies. Every blip on the screens meant a collision course with fate, and each second that passed without explosion only ratcheted the tension higher. 12:01 a.m. arrived like a signal flare. KB-guided bombs plunged into Barabashovo Market, igniting 3,000-plus square meters of stalls. Textiles became kindling, electronics burst in fireballs, and food carts disintegrated in a flash of orange. The market erupted into chaos faster than anyone could count inventory losses. Ballistic missiles streaked in seconds later, detonating over industrial zones. Fuel depots became secondary infernos, sending columns of flame and debris into the black night like fireworks on steroids. The sky above Kharkiv turned molten. Smoke-choked streets climbed into alleys and wrapped buildings in a gray haze. Shahed 136 drones followed in a deliberate mocking swarm. Some collided with the city's air defenses, shredded in midair. Others slipped through to strike garages, homes, and smaller commercial buildings. Their payloads were modest, 36 kilograms each, but precise, enough to ignite secondary blazes. Enough to make residents wonder if the first explosions were just a warm-up act. Russian planners had choreographed the strike to test Ukrainian resolve and hardware in a single sweep. KABs moved with surgical intent, ballistic missiles hammered zones with brute force, and drones exploited the fatigue and blind spots of defenses. Each system worked in tandem, a cruel symphony of destruction. Ukrainian operators matched them, toggling radars, calculating trajectories, and firing interceptors in a high-stakes digital duel. The clash was invisible to most civilians, but brutal in effect. Missiles turned to fireballs, drones vaporized mid-flight, explosions echoed like artillery on rooftops, and the city itself seemed to shiver under the coordinated assault. By the time the first wave ended, Barabashovo smoldered. Industrial districts were scarred with craters and smoke blotted out stars. Yet in that infernal glow, Ukrainian defenses had scored hits, downing some drones, diverting missiles, and saving lives. The night wasn't over, and the city was already learning the rhythm of Russian attacks. A deadly game of cat and mouse in which every weapon had a role and every second spelled survival or ruin. Within minutes of the first explosions, over 200 firefighters and DSNS rescuers surged toward Barabashevo Market. K-9 units ran alongside, noses twitching at smoke and debris as the teams charged into collapsing pavilions. Heat-resistant gear absorbed flames, hoses lashed at the inferno, and sparks flew like shrapnel from the market's ruined stalls. Every step carried risk. Walls buckled under the blast, roofs threatened to cave, and unexploded KAB fragments lurked beneath rubble, waiting for the unlucky. The SNS rolled out modernized fire engines, MAZ-4371, and Kamaz-based trucks, their high-capacity pumps hissing at up to 40 liters per second. Foam systems hissed as they covered burning pavilions, and extendable ladders allowed crews to reach multi-story structures, while thermal imaging cameras cut through the thick smoke to pinpoint lingering hotspots. Many of these vehicles had arrived through international aid, replacing aging Soviet-era engines that would have melted under this chaos. Each truck carried 2,000 to 4,000 liters of water, and every nozzle blast became a precise counterattack against the firestorm consuming Barabashevo. The firefighters moved with precision, hauling the injured from piles of splintered wood and twisted steel. Smoke curled skyward in thick black plumes, painting the city skyline in apocalyptic orange. Each rescued civilian was a small victory against the chaos raining from above. Footage from drones and phones captured their silhouettes darting through fire, shadows dancing across stalls, reduced to molten rubble. One exhausted, soot-covered firefighter later summed it up: "We run toward what others run from." Even as explosions echoed faintly from secondary fires and distant strikes, the teams advanced relentlessly. They pried open jammed doors, climbed into crumbling rooftops to fight back flames, and coordinated movements to avoid falling debris. The scene resembled controlled chaos: hoses arcing water onto flames, K-9 units sniffing for survivors, and firefighters signaling directions amid roars of crackling fire. Hours passed in a blur, but by dawn, the main infernos were contained. Barabashevo smoldered like a battlefield scar, yet the backbone of Kharkiv's economy had endured, ready for recovery. Lives were saved, and the city had survived the first test of fire. Above Kharkiv, the clash continued, invisible to most but lethal in execution. Ukrainian air defense units tracked incoming drones, cabs, and ballistic missiles in real time. Patriot and NASAMS batteries fired interceptors into the night, detonating Shahed drones mid-flight. Iskander-M missiles tore through low clouds, and KABs gliding from Su-34s exploited gaps that even the most alert operators could barely cover. Some threats were neutralized. Others struck their marks, a reminder of how thin the margin for error was. Russia's multi-pronged strategy was a lethal puzzle. Precision guide bombs tore through markets and industrial zones. Ballistic missiles hammered infrastructure with brute force, and Shahed drones hovered like tiny predators probing defenses. Each wave was designed to saturate, distract, and overwhelm, testing both systems and nerves. Operators in Ukrainian command centers juggled radar feeds, missile alerts, and coordination with emergency services, calculating intercepts while civilians scrambled for shelter below. Every successful interception was a tactical win. Every fire contained a small miracle against destruction raining from above. The sequence unfolded like high-stakes chess in the sky. Feints and probes drew attention, masked the real threats, and forced split-second decisions. Russian drones acted as pawns, ballistic missiles as rooks smashing through defenses, and KB bombs as knights striking at unexpected angles. Each maneuver demanded flawless timing, nerves of steel, and rapid calculations. Above the city, death and destruction moved with precision engineering, but below, Ukrainian defenders countered with equal cunning. By the time the first waves ended, Kharkiv's skies had revealed both the scope of the threat and the resilience of those standing between fire and the city. By dawn, Kharkiv's skyline was veiled in smoke. Barabashevo Market lay in ruins, collapsed stalls, twisted metal, scorched tents, but the city had survived the night's orchestrated chaos. Explosions from KB bombs and secondary fires had left streets littered with debris, and regional officials confirmed 6 people were injured, 5 of them adults hospitalized. Yet residents began emerging from basements and metro shelters, wary eyes scanning the skies. Vendors who had lost everything were already pledging to rebuild. Engineers moved through the wreckage, measuring structural damage from bomb impacts and scorched supports, while emergency funds and international aid began arriving to replace destroyed equipment and restore the city's commercial heartbeat. Ukraine's response extended beyond logistics. It was a direct counterpunch to the Russian strategy. Air defenses had tracked and intercepted multiple Shahed drones and ballistic missiles, while firefighters neutralized infernos caused by precision-guided bombs. Each action, hose streams cutting fire, missiles shredded mid-air, spoke of tactical discipline under relentless pressure. President Zelensky condemned the strikes as violent and deliberate, calling for increased Western support. Analysts noted the pattern: Russia targeting civilian hubs with guided bombs, drones, and missiles. Yet every strike met Ukraine's calculated resistance, turning aggression into a display of defiance. In the end, the fires raged across Kharkiv, but so did the courage of firefighters, volunteers, and defenders who charged into the blaze. Precision strikes met coordinated resistance, and every act of bravery turned destruction into defiance. What should this operation be called? Drop your ideas in the comments, maybe something like Operation Ember Shield? Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Frontline stories.